We continue now at the top of Daf Vav Amud Aleph in Meseches Sotah. This is Sotah Daf 6a. On the previous summit, the Gemara asked, why is it that a Sotah is not supposed to do Yibum? And in the second answer, so Rav Yosef says the reason why a Sotah is not supposed to do Yibum is because really, in such a case, the pasuk says, let's say you have a woman who is suspected of adultery, the husband is supposed to divorce that wife in order that she not destroy his house. And so now we're going to say that she should do Yibum and destroy somebody else's house. That wouldn't make sense. And so Abaye said to Rav Yosef, well, if that's the case, why is she marrying a different person? Just like she shouldn't do Yibum, she also shouldn't marry a stranger because she'll destroy his house. And Rav Yosef now responds, Mikora minan lo ale bal karche. In the case of her marrying someone else, somebody who's not the Yavam, so we're not forcing him to marry her. That's something that he's doing willingly, so that's something that's allowed. But when it comes to Yibum, which is really a forced kind of marriage, so in that situation, there's going to be no Yibum, again, by this woman who was warned not to go into seclusion with another man, and she went into seclusion. And the Gemara continues, V'ika Diamri, some have a version as follows in terms of what Rav Yosef's answer was. Amar Rav Yosef says, HaKasav Karo Acher, the pasuk when it says that a woman is divorced because she's suspected of adultery, and then she marries someone else, this someone else is called an Acher, another person. What does that mean? She'ein ben zugo shel rishon, he's not similar to that first husband, in a negative way. Shezeh hotzi rishon mibeso, because the first husband, he took this wicked woman, this wicked wife out of his house, he divorced her. V'zeh hichnes rishon lesoch beso, and now the second husband, he's bringing her into his house. V'yat amret tziyavim nami yivume, and now you're saying that she should do Yibum in such a case, meaning to say, we say about the second husband that this is a bad thing, that he's bringing this woman who's suspected of adultery and he's marrying her, and so therefore once we understand that the pasuk views the second husband in that fashion, so it's obvious that there's no Yibum in this case. Amar le Abaye, so the Gemara continues, Abaye now says back to Rav Yosef, Elameata, but according to that reasoning, Nisis la'acher, let's say she does marry somebody else, umeis below banim, and then he dies without children, so still lo tisyavim, she shouldn't do Yibum for that second husband either, of karo acher, because the pasuk calls him an acher, meaning to say we view this marriage negatively, and so there should be no yibum in that case as well. And to that the Gemara says, Gabe dehai miya b'shem tov havakaima. No, with relation to the second husband, she's not suspected of adultery in that second marriage, so she still has a shem tov, and therefore she can do yibum from the second marriage. And the Gemara continues with another answer why there's no Yibum. Rava Amar Rava says Kal V'chomer. The reason why there's no Yibum by a Sotah is a Kal V'chomer. Im Nesra b'mutter love. This Sotah, she became forbidden to the husband that she was mutter to. So Ba'asr la lo kol shekain. So somebody that she was usher to, meaning the brother-in-law, now you're going to do Yibum? Of course not. Of course she's going to be usher to the brother-in-law, just like she became usher to her husband when she became a Sotah. Amar le Abaye. So Abaye said to him, to Rav Elameata, but according to that, Kohen Gadol shekidish es almana v'meis. Let's say you have a Kohen Gadol, and he betroths an almana, a widow, and he dies, v'yeshlo ach kohen hedyot, and he has a brother who's a kohen hedyot. So we should say the same reasoning, lo tisyavim, there should be no yivim in that case, because because if she became forbidden to the one that she was mutter, meaning she's forbidden, and almana is forbidden to a kohen gadol, so ba'asr lo kol shekain, so to the kohen hedyot brother, she should for sure be, she was usher to him before, and she should for sure not do yibim. So the Gemara says, no, that's not a good kal v'chomer. Nesra, it's not that she became usher to the kohen gadol, ha'asir v'kaima, she was always usher to the kohen gadol. This was a kedushin that was forbidden. And mutter law, he was never mutter law. Asr lahu, he was always forbidden to her. So you can't make the kal v'chomer in that case. And so the Gemara attempts to ask the question from another kal v'chomer. Ella, rather we should say, according to your logic, that if she becomes asr to the mutter one, so then she should be asr to the asr one. So we should say as follows: Eshes kohen shenen. So let's say you have the wife of a kohen and she's raped, v'meis, and then he dies. V'yesh lo acholol, and then he has a brother who's a cholol, so he doesn't have the status of a kohen. Only a kohen is asr to marry an anusa, to marry a woman who's raped. So if he has this brother who's a chalal, lotus yavim, there should be no yivim in that case either. Im nasra b'mutter, because if she became asr to the one she was mutter with, meaning the kohen, when she got raped, she became asr to him. So ba'asr lo kol shekain, so she should certainly stay prohibited to the brother who she was asr with. She should now not do yivim. And the Gemara says to that, Ones be Yisrael mishra shari. No, because by Ones, if a woman is raped and she's married to Yisrael, it's totally permitted. It's not something that would have made her usher to the Yisrael had she been married to the Yisrael, or to the Chalal had she been married to the Chalal. V'gabe dehai leka Yisura. With regards to this person, there is no Isser, and so therefore there is Yibam. Now that's not true in our case over here by the Sotah. If she was married to the, let's say the second, the brother-in-law, the Yavam, so also it would have been a problem. It would have been, if she's a Sotah, she would become usher to him also. and so therefore the fact that she's a sota makes her usher to her husband, it also makes yibum a problem. Again, that's not true by a case of onus, since onus is not a problem by the cholol, so you can't make such a kal v'chomer, and even though the onus makes her prohibited to her husband who's a kohen, she still does yibum with the brother-in-law who has the status of a cholol. And the Gemara continues with the Mishnah, Ve'elu asuros milechol b'truma, the following women are not allowed to eat truma even though they're married to a kohen. Ha'omeres tameya anilach, let's say a woman says that I am defiled, she admits that she committed adultery. V'shabo edim she tameya, or let's say edim come, and they testify that she is defiled, that she committed adultery. V'ha'omeres eini shosa, let's say you have a sota who's supposed to drink the waters, the bitter waters, and she says, I'm not going to drink. V'shabala einu rotza lashkos, or let's say her husband doesn't want to give her to drink. V'shabala bola baderech, or let's say they're on the road to take her to drink, and then she has relations with her husband on the road. In all of those cases, she doesn't get truma. And the Gemara says, Amar Rav Amram says, Hamilsa Amar lon Rav Sheshes, the following thing Rav Sheshes said to us, V'yanor lon einin mimas nisan, and he enlightened us with a proof from the Mishnah. He said the following, Sota sheyesh lo edim b'medinas hayom, let's say you have a sota, and there are witnesses far away that know about the fact that she committed adultery, and she's going to drink the waters to be tested, to see if she in fact did commit adultery. Ein hamayim bod kenosa. In such a case, the waters are not able to test her properly because there are people who know for a fact that she committed adultery. The waters only work when it's unknown. So in this case, it's not going to work. That's the teaching of Rav Sheshes. And my time, what's the reason? What's the source for this? The Amar Kra, because the pasuk says, "V'nistra v'hi nitma v'eid ein ba." It says there's no witness. Deleka de yadaba means nobody knows about it. Le'afuk eha, that excludes this case. Da'ika de yadaba, there's somebody that knows about it. If there are edim again b'medinas hayam, the waters will not work. V'yanor lon einin mimes nisan, and then he enlightened us. He showed us a proof for this from the Mishnah. To Katani, because it says in the Mishnah, V'shebo la edim shehitamei. It says that if edim come and testify that she was defiled, so then she's prohibited from having truma. They also edim emas. Now, when are these edim coming? Inema mekame de tishti. If we're going to say that the edim come before she drinks the water, so zonahi. So in that case, she's actually a zona. It's clear that she committed adultery, and obviously she's prohibited from having truma. So that cannot be the case of the Mishnah. It's too obvious. Ela levasser de shasai. Rather, what happened is she drank and she survived, and now the edim come and we say she's prohibited from truma. And so the Gemara says, if that's the case, the amrid b'shalama in hamayim bod kenosa. If you're going to say correctly that the waters, they weren't able to test her in this case because there were edim who knew about what happened, so then it will make sense that she survived, by, even though she drank the waters, even though she was guilty. And then the edim came, and we say the edim came, and therefore she can't have truma. So shapir, so then it makes sense. Eloi amrid mayim bod kenosa. But if you say that the waters still work, so if that's the case, so then the edim coming should be irrelevant. Tigli milsa l'mafreya, it should be clear now, l'mafreya, it should be clear retroactively that the witnesses are liars, because she drank the water, she survived, the waters tell us that she's innocent, and now comes out the edim are coming and testifying the opposite, we wouldn't believe them. Why should she be prohibited from having truma? So Amar le Rav Yosef says back to him, Li'olamei malach mayim bod kenosa. It could be not like Rav Sheshes said. It could be really the waters are able to test her even when others know about it. Now, if that's the case, that the waters are effective, so then why is it that the edim are not considered to be edim who are lying? But we can say that in this case, she had some kind of merit, and that's another way where the waters won't test properly. If the woman has some kind of merit on her side, so then the waters won't test her. So then it could very well be that she was in fact guilty, the edim are telling the truth, and that's why she's prohibited in truma, and that's why the case can be that the edim are coming after she drank from the waters. And the Gemara says, "B'maika miflagi." So what are they arguing about over here in terms of whether it's possible that the zechus is what's causing this? And the Gemara explains, "B'misnavna de Rebbe." They're arguing about the misnavna of Rebbe. Rebbe says even in a case of zechus, the waters are still effective because what happens is she's going to deteriorate. The Tanan, as we learned in the Mishnah, Rebbe says, "Zechus tola b'mayim hamorim," that a merit can help in the case of the bitter waters. Ve'ena yoledes ve'ena mishabachas, but she's not going to give birth; she won't improve at all. Ela misnavna v'holeches, but what happens is she deteriorates. L'sof she mesa b'osa misa, and then she dies with that death. So according to Rebbe, even in a case where she has merits, it's still clear if she is guilty. And the Gemara explains, Rav Sheshes Savar, Rav Sheshes holds, Bein l'Rebbe uvein l'Rabbanon, both according to Rebbe and the Rabbanon, Havya misnavna, if a woman has a zechus, so then she's still going to deteriorate, the waters will still be effective. The Machlokes Rebbe and the Rabbanon only is whether she will die or not. Rebbe says in a case where she has a zechus, she will eventually die with the same death, the waters will work in that fashion as well, and the Rabbanon say she will not die, but again, the waters still test her according to both Rebbe and the Rabbanon, and so therefore in our Mishnah, when the Eidim are coming after she drank from the waters, the only explanation can be that the reason why the waters did not work is because there were Eidim far away who knew that she had committed adultery. Rav Yosef Savar, but Rav Yosef says, no, that's not the case. L'Rebbe have misnavna. According to Rebbe, she deteriorates. L'Rabbanan lo have misnavna, but according to the Rabbanan, she will not deteriorate. Her merits can completely protect her, and so therefore it's possible in any situation that she drank from the waters, but the waters did not work because her merits protected her. And so again, according to Rav Yosef, that's why in our Mishnah, even though the Eidim came after she drank, there is another explanation why the waters might not have been effective. It could be the waters were not effective because of her merits, and it has nothing to do with the fact that there were Eidim far away who knew that she committed adultery. And the Gemara continues, Mesev Rav Shimi Barashi. Rav Shimi Barashi asks the following question on Rav Sheshes. The Mishnah says, Rabbi Shimon Omer, Rabbi Shimon says, Ein zechus tola b'mayim hamorim. If a person has merits, that does not delay the testing of the bitter waters. V'imata omer zechus tola b'mayim hamorim. Because if you're going to say that if the woman has merit, therefore the bitter waters won't work, so madcha to asamayim b'fnei kol hanoshim hashosos. So people aren't even going to be worried about the water. All these women who have to drink the water won't care because they'll assume that their merit will protect them. And furthermore, v'yata motzi shemer al hatahoros. Let's say anyone who drank from the waters and they came out innocent, you're actually saying bad about them. Shashasu, that they drank. V'hein omrim tameyosayu. People will say they really were defiled. Elishatala lehen zechus, but they must have had some merit, and that's why they were protected. And therefore, Rabbi Shimon says, in order to keep the integrity, so to speak, of the bitter waters, we have to say that they always work. It doesn't matter if the woman has a merit or not. And so the Gemara now says, according to Rabbi Shimon, V'im Isa, now if it's true what Rav Shesha said, that if there are Eidim far away, the waters don't work, so the same argument can be made. Yesh lo Eidim in Medina Sayom Nami, in a case where there are Eidim far away who know that she committed adultery, Ata Motzi Shemra, Ala Tahoro Shashasu, aren't you being Motzi Shemra on the women that were pure that drank? V'hein Omrim Tameo Sayo, Ala Sheyesh lo Eidim in Medina Sayom, people will say they really were defiled, but there are Eidim far away. And so therefore it's clear, according to Reb Shimon, the waters always work, and you can't have any reason to say they won't work, just like you can't say they won't work because of merit. You also can't say they won't work because there are Eidim far away that know she committed adultery. And so the Gemara answers to this question, Rabbi Shimon Klamrit, you're only asking a question according to Rabbi Shimon's Shita. But you're right, Rabbi Shimon certainly would not agree with Rav Sheshes. Rabbi Shimon, according to Rav Shimon, that's true. From the fact that her merits can't stop the waters from working, so too if there are Eidim, that does not stop the waters from working. And the Gemara continues, Mesev Rav asks, and some have Rava asks, the same Mishnah later on says, V'elu shemin chosei and Israfos, the following women, their minchas are burned, they are not offered, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Vav Amud Beis.